This is Dumbed Down Life number 38.
That was Alamance with Moving On. Not, as I first heard it when I was asking Lance there, Adam Ant, as in, Prince Charming fame, but Alamance, Alamance. That was a good one, I like that one.
Good.
How are you this evening, sir?
Me, I'm alright. Now I've got my computer working again.
Yeah, it was the flat batteries in the keyboard then, was it?
Yeah, and unfortunately the low battery light didn't come on because I don't think there was enough battery to tell me the batteries were low.
Bit of a design problem, that, isn't it? You want to have one that you shake and it charges it up somehow, like the old kinetic watches.
This is why it only cost me 20 quid.
So I was about to start the recording and I just had a quick snoop at the BBC headlines, and just made me giggle a little, although it probably shouldn't. Police chief filmed in Bin Laden costume.
Oh.
Why? These stupid people get into these positions where there's lots of people looking at them, and then they do something silly like that. And also the guy in the, was it Eon? What's the name of the electric company?
Yeah, Eon.
You seen that one?
No.
Eon. Oh, he stood up in front of a whole bunch of people, and somebody asked, what's happening with the prices going up, and he said, well, it's going to be more profits means higher wages for me.
He didn't.
He did.
And is he looking for another job?
Foot shot in. Well, the company, of course, is trying to cover themselves and say, oh, yes, he will be severely disciplined. And then they go behind and go, yeah, nice one. Well done, you told them. But whether anything more will come of that, we'll have to see. But it's just, people say the silliest of things when they're put under pressure, aren't they?
Yeah.
Another thing that I found just before starting the show, lots of preparation work this week, a toaster which actually combines printing capabilities. So you can print your news headlines onto your slice of toast, no waste of paper, and then you can eat the evidence afterwards.
That's a convergence you just didn't think of, isn't it?
The only problem's going to be if you spread butter and jam over it, and it's like, oh, can't read it now. This is like something straight out of Mission Impossible. After you have read this message, eat it. Great.
So that's breakfast news taken to a new level, isn't it?
But then, there was this craze a few years ago of these. It's a piece of toast with a picture of Jesus' face on it.
Yeah.
Once you can start printing your own, then
oh God.
Oh, look, it's another one with Jesus' face on it. Yippee!
Yeah. I've got for Ari when last Easter, my sister bought her it. She bought a Spider-Man Easter egg, and it comes with a toaster press that presses the face of Spider-Man into your toast.
What, like a little metal cutter sort of thing?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Never used it yet.
I seem to remember when the old Breville sandwich makers used to actually have like a shell sort of shape in it, and as you closed it down, it would cut the sandwiches and shape them and all that sort of thing. Well, do they still do that?
Kind of, yeah. If you look in, I think they're in the Argos catalogue, you can get a Simpsons one that gets them. It embeds Homer's face into them.
Oh, would you want that? The sandwich that bites back. So what other sort of ridiculous technology have you come across? Not necessarily recently, but
ridiculous technology. I don't know. I'll have to think about that for a second.
Technology. I think one of the ones that I really just don't understand is these toothbrushes. Okay, a toothbrush that charges up and the head moves and everything for it, great. But then they've got like a remote control one. So you pick up the toothbrush, and the remote control means the display is on the charger. And it's like, and it tells you the pressure that you're pushing, and it tells you how long you've been using your brush for, and it's just complete like technology where it's not really needed.
Yeah, no, I don't see the point. Just do not see the point.
What other sort of? I'm trying to think. What other sort of technologies that have been a bit of a waste?
Well, there's the Sinclair C5, of course.
I don't know whether that was a waste or just
too early,
years ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Now I'd use, certainly where we are. There are sufficient bike lanes that I could use a Sinclair C5. But I guess it's not really that much of an improvement over a bike to make it worth doing.
Well, I suppose it isn't as tiring. Didn't they have pedals in them as well?
They got pedals in them, but then the motor was a help, so it would carry on going for miles and miles and miles. But of the same sort of, do you remember when this this life-changing. The world will never be the same once we've announced this product.
Project Ginger, it was called, wasn't it?
Project Ginger, yeah.
If it's what I think you're thinking about.
What is it? What's it going to be? And it was a flipping Segway. It's like, oh.
Now you see, I can see a point of a Segway, not from a personal transport point of view, but from warehousing. The size of these warehouses. I used to work in one about 4 years ago, and this thing was huge. My job was to walk around and check stock and restock the shelves. It was for Neat Ideas, which was the warehouse supplier for people like Staples and that kind of thing, and for Staples Online. So they had a pick list conveyor belt where you'd get all these people with an order form, and they'd just run around picking bits, put them in boxes, and then they get labelled up and shipped out. And this warehouse was huge, and I actually wore a pedometer one day, and I think I walked about 6-7 miles in the one day, which
that's good for you, surely.
Absolutely, it's good for you, but I could see something like a Segway being useful there, but as a personal mode of transport, then no, absolutely not. Can't see it at all.
It's a C5 stood on end. The only other thing with the Segway is it seems to be more complicated than it needs to be. I saw when I was in Chicago Airport a few weeks back, they'd got obviously some kind of copyright get round. It was 2 big wheels looking like a Segway, but instead of having all the complicated balancing stuff inside, it had got 2 trolley wheels on the platform just behind it. It was probably like 4 inches long, 4 inches wider.
You can actually get those for kids now.
What, with the 4-wheeled version?
Yeah, it looks just like a Segway.
Yep.
But it's got 4 wheels, like you say, and it's got forwards, backwards, left and right controls on the handlebar. So it's not a leany thing. You don't have to control it with your body. But they've got like almost like a PlayStation gamepad, and they can control it like that.
Well, this is what they had at the airport, and it was for the airport police to ride up and down on. But yeah, it's a case of there seems to be so much to go wrong with the Segway, and the more simple ideas seem to last better and longer.
Yeah, but no.
I have to agree with some of the people in the room, though. I would still like to have a go on one of those Segways.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. Can't you do like, not track days, like you do track days with cars, but aren't there places where you can go and rent one out for a while and sort of go around to track on one and things like that? I'm sure there is.
Events sort of thing. Yeah, there must be.
I'm sure there is.
I've seen some pictures of like Segway on steroids where they've got big knobbly tyres, and it looks like they might be designed for off-road.
Oh God!
That would be interesting to try, because they do seem to be a little bit sort of designed for pavements and stuff. Ah, there you go.
Outside of Hollywood, you came along for the ride to get out of your neighborhood. Told me to pull over and got out of the car. Looked into the distance, staring so from afar. So why am I so lonely? So why am I so lonely? Your eyes are looking through me. Eyes are looking through me. The white dove is flying. White dove is flying. 'Cause the black sheep is dying. Dying, dying. You'll define my future as I define my past. Yes, I know it's from them. You really have the best. You'll define my future as I define my past. Yes, I know it's from them. You really have the best. Surrendered myself to thee. 'Cause back then I was different. No, I didn't think somehow fact sheet that this is over now. So why am I so lonely? So why am I so lonely? Your eyes are looking through me. Your eyes are looking through me. The white dove is flying. The white dove is flying. 'Cause the black sheep is dying. Dying. You'll find my future. It's how to find my past. Yes, I know it's fun that we really have a blast. If you'll find my future, it's how to find my past. Yes, I know it's fun that we really have a blast.
Ampliphonic and High Track. So it looks like we're all still here. We haven't been swallowed by a black hole. What the hell is it called? The Large I can never say it. Hadron. The Large Hadron Collider.
Be careful how you spell it, because if you mix up a couple of letters, it could be a porn movie.
Could it?
Yeah, the Large Hardon Collider. Oh, you must have. Did you not see any of the pictures over the internet recently about that? The pictures of the two, and apparently, if the balls touch, then we're all going to die. No.
No. Although I shall be looking at that right after the show. So yeah, we haven't been sucked into oblivion, and the main reason for that is because they didn't do any collisions, did they?
No, not yet.
They've only sort of fired a particle around, or a few particles around, loads and loads of times just to see if it's working. But the most interesting fact I've found for this whole thing is it's a big conglomeration of loads of international scientists, okay? And the guy that's running the English side of it is a guy named Brian Cox, which is quite funny considering what you've just said. But he's a big PhD scientist type bloke, but he used to be the keyboard player for D-Ream.
Oh, right.
Things can only get better.
Yeah.
They apparently formed a band with the other two guys when he was in university studying for his physics PhD, and it just sort of took off a little bit, and they had the success with that song, and then of course the Labour Party stole it. But yeah, he always wanted to be. That was sort of just a sideline, a bit of fun to sort of help pay his way through college, university. But he's now running the LHC.
Some people have all the luck, don't they?
Absolutely.
Not only did he have a big band in the 80s, he's now sort of got a big project under him. In fact, the most expensive project ever, isn't it? Or something like that.
Something
the most
like
expensive
that, yeah.
experiment.
Something like that. But then it's like Brian May, isn't it? Took him 30-something years to get his PhD in astronomy.
Oh, right.
Because Queen kind of got in the way.
Yeah.
So after Freddie died, he sort of think, well, I can go back to university now, carry on.
How much of the TV coverage have you seen of this Hadron Collider?
Absolutely none. I've not seen anything about it at all.
It's been appalling. It really has.
What, the coverage?
I think that the coverage, yeah. I think that following on from Phoenix landing on Mars back a few months ago, and from the other two landers coming onto Mars, and all the excitement and cheering that happened over that, and they're thinking, great, science can make good television. So here we are at the LHC. It's been running for 5 minutes. It has? Oh. There wasn't any cheers. No. Right then. So what can we expect? Watch the screen. See that white dot? Yep, that means that it's gone all the way around. Is that what we're waiting for then? Yeah, pretty much. And it's back to the studio.
I mean, to be fair though, I mean, it's obviously microscopic particles. What the hell did they think they were going to film? Did they think they were going to collide them, and there was going to be a big flash, and you'd see everything?
Well, they're forgetting this is a European-based project, and I think they were expecting, scientists to be throwing their glasses up in the air and jumping around and kissing each other like they do in the States.
No.
No.
We're European, don't you know?
Yeah. They don't really get excited about the fact that they sent one proton 16 miles around this circuit. It's like, it's gone.
16
Yay.
miles?
16 miles is the entire circumference all the way around the circuit.
Is it?
That's the tightest circle that they can actually make a proton go without having to have the magnets much stronger. So to control the magnets to make it in any tighter a circle would almost be impossible to do. But yeah, they've currently got one proton to go round one way. I don't know whether they've done the reverse circuit yet, but then eventually, yes, the idea will be to bring the two together and have them collide. Now, the interesting thing is, okay, interesting if you're into science, these two particles are going to be travelling towards each other, both of them near the speed of light, and then they're going to be colliding, and when they collide, they've got points around the circuit that will then measure what happens and what comes off. I don't know if you've seen anything from what's his name, the the guy in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawking. He's saying that it's going to be more interesting if they don't find what they expect to happen, because then it's a case of, well, we've theorized that there's going to be these extra particles. If they're not there, then what? Then there's much more science to do and more money to spend, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like back to the drawing board then, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
Something Dave's just said. What happens if they miss?
Then they'll carry on.
Yeah, but I don't understand how how the whole thing works, basically. You've got this big tube, right, that's 16 miles in circumference, and from the pictures I've seen, it's pretty big. A bloke can stand in it and there's loads of room and stuff. But I can't understand how they managed to get a proton in there in the first place. I know they've got this little canister. I heard on the news that it's basically just hydrogen gas, and they put this gas into the thing. But how do they control it? I know the magnets are there to do it, but I don't understand the physics behind it and how they accelerate it round and round and round, and then you've got the other one accelerating the other way round. How do they aim it so they hit these two things together? Because they're so small. How do they do it?
Well, to start with, the tube itself is evacuated. The vacuum inside this tube is, I think it was 12 times more vacuous than the surface of the moon.
Right.
So they don't want it to hit anything else. What you've also got is massive, great coils all the way around the site that are computer controlled, and it is the magnetism that is then influencing the path of the protons. How they're doing two that go in opposite directions, I don't know. I guess it's going to be a case of the momentum is going to carry them past each other. But the computations and the switching that must be going on is phenomenal. I can't imagine how many sort of computations it's making to make sure that everything's all balanced. But then like they said, if they miss, I guess if they miss, then it's a case of either the computer carries on and takes it round for another circuit, or they've missed because the computer's gone wrong, in which case the proton collides with the side of the tube, and that's it. It's gone. It's dissipated. It's not doing anything more than happens in the atmosphere and the upper atmosphere quite frequently. So the whole thing about the big black hole and everything was always a bit of a science fiction, never really going to happen.
Yeah, I did know that.
There have been accelerators very similar to this in the past, and they've run without causing any problems. But it's hyped, unfortunately. Those people who are in the scientific area quite interested in it, but I'm not really sure that it makes good television.
I do wonder what practical use it has. If they do find, the whole point of it is to find the Higgs boson, isn't it? Which is a particle that's supposed to give everything its mass, and without it, we should all be floating away. What physical, tangible use that is going to be if they do discover it, I'm not certain, because it's like, okay, we thought it was there, and there it is.
Which is why Stephen Hawking said, if it's there, then it's pretty much like, we were right then. What he's kind of hoping for is that it isn't there, in which case the glue that's holding us all together is still unexplained, and they want to find out.
Yeah. Just one final bit of information. They did say, why should we pay these billions of pounds for this experiment? Because of the reason that I've just said. What realistic use is it? Well, it's done at CERN, isn't it? And
that's right. Yeah.
There was a guy working at CERN who they had a problem of needing to be able to share information between scientists all over the world, and his name was Tim Berners-Lee. And it was because of them that the internet came about. It was because of CERN. Right. That was why it happened. We've all heard that the internet came about through
US military, I thought.
No, it came through academics wanting to share information easily, and then the US military got hold of it and started using it as well. But it started off in the universities needing to be able to share vast amounts of information quickly across sort of instantaneously. So Tim Berners-Lee, working at CERN, came up with the TCP/IP protocol.
Ah, that's interesting.
See, you learn something new every day.
I should have known that, shouldn't I?
You should have done, yeah.
Do you drool over the latest cutting-edge technology? Are you the first in line for the latest sci-fi movie? Do you stay up late at night playing video games? Do you consider being called a geek a badge of honor? Then you should listen to Geek Cred. Steve Rickyberg gives you the inside scoop on everything geek. From tech to sci-fi to games, you name it, we geek it. Geek Cred. Are you geek enough? To download and subscribe, visit www.geekcred.net and get your geek on.
Hi guys, this is Mark at the Random 3. Firstly, I'm using this as a poor excuse to try out another microphone I've got here. Actually a bit of a cheap one, and just curious to see what the sound quality is like. And it just can't quite beat it when it's over at another show, or you're listening to it via a different source. Does that make sense? Probably not. It's a little bit Britney Spears actually. It's the sort of thing that curls around the old cheek there, and not perhaps a look I should foster. Yeah. Just listened to show 37, which was fantastic. It was quite emotional to hear you all in the same room there, with obviously with Dave from the Bugcast guesting. It in terms of comments on the show, I particularly agree with Darren's comment about the fantastic idea of having all your music online, and in terms of file space and all the waste of file space we all have, and just the ability to access music anywhere. There are certainly programs out there that do it, and I'm sure Darren's aware of them. Things like Winamp Remote, and there's another one by a company called Simplify Media that I've personally not used. I've used Winamp Remote and I find it a bit clunky, but Simplify Media is something that another musical friend has mentioned recently. You can access it, I think, on the iPhone, so that's a nice idea, and over wireless and and over 3G, I think. But yeah, I mean, going back to Darren's original idea, I think that's really good to have the music, but it's got to work with Last.fm. Big problem with Winamp Remote is you can't. Anything you play on that does not get logged via Last.fm, and that's just a showstopper for me. I'm guessing Simplify Media is exactly the same. If anyone else knows something out there that can do that can stream music and still log it, then I'd be interested to hear. Actually, a way around it is to use, I don't know if anyone there has used logmein.com, which is a fantastic site and a bit of software for accessing a PC remotely, and a lot of help desks use it. They have a free version, but if you pay, I think they've got 50% discount at this very moment, I think $30 a year, you can actually listen to your own listen to a PC remotely, if that makes sense. You can play music on your home PC and listen to it remotely. Anyway, great idea. Great show as always, and I hope to speak to you guys soon. Hey, maybe even we do a communal show. If we do the random dumbed down bugcast or whatever we're going to call it. It'd be great to see you guys in October, and we should definitely make that a date. Okay, cheers, bye.
Now,
Go on.
now I was going to say, I knew that Winamp remote thing. Not that impressed with it. It's not actually what I want. I guess there's two different schools of thought. There's the idea of everything streaming. So yeah, you keep your machine at home with all your music on it, and then you can stream it to your car radio or to your work desktop or whatever. I don't particularly like that idea. I want to be able to turn my machine off at home when I leave, have all my music on my iPod, whatever, then perhaps go up to Lance's house for a weekend, and I want to be able to download my latest podcasts on Lance's machine. So that kind of thing isn't what Winamp Remote allows you to do. I'll have to look into the other one. That one sounds good.
But iTunes doesn't allow you to do that either, does it?
Well, no, it doesn't. But that's what I'm saying. That what we were discussing before was the idea of like an online version of iTunes. So I could see all it needs is for me to log into iTunes on the internet, wherever that may be, and then any updates or any songs that I buy or anything like that, I could stream across to my iPod. But I think the world seems to be moving more towards everyone having broadband everywhere they go, rather than everyone carrying a huge amount of capacity everywhere they go.
Yeah. I mean, I had a thought today and discussed it with you. What about having, if you've got web space or an online sort of area, could you not put your music into a folder on that area and then probably map the network drive or something and point your iTunes to that?
Yeah. Oh, no, that's certainly an idea. But what we were discussing the other week was the idea that if everybody does that, we end up with a huge duplication of data. Where what all we really need is the artists can store the music themselves. Just as long as I've got a little pointer that says I've bought this album, I've got the right to listen to it wherever I am. I could go into a bar, and the fact that I've bought this particular album means that I can choose it on the jukebox without having to pay for it. Extreme, but that's the sort of thing that I'd like the idea of.
Yeah, I think that's quite a few years away yet, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, you see, when I'm at work, I've rapidly stopped using iTunes. In fact, I use the Sam Broadcaster that I use for doing this podcast, because it allows me to create some really complicated playlists, which iTunes doesn't, unless you've got a Mac and you can use Mac scripting. So I use that at work, and I also use it at home. Now, despite the fact it's not compatible with Last.fm, but I've given up on them because they don't seem to scrabble everything that I put in it, so it's not accurate anyway. But what I would like to do, when I'm at work, I download a crap load of the Podsafe Music Network's music, listen to it at work, make notes of which ones I like, so then I've then got a list of songs that I can choose to play on the show. Okay, these are all stored on my hard drive at work. Now, either I have to remember what they are, come home, go back onto the music network, re-download them and get them on here, or I have to transfer them using a memory stick, which is awkward. It's doable, and it's not a major issue, but it's a pain in the backside, frankly. I'd like to be able to sort of put them up onto my web space and point the SAM library to that folder, and it's there wherever I am.
But with the Podshow Music Network, the chance to actually have the playlist, and it stays on the site, doesn't it?
Sorry, say that again.
But you've got the playlist actually in the site, haven't you? On the Podshow, on music.podshow.com.
I have, yeah.
Actually register, and so you're not having to research for them again. You just go into that one place and you can either play them live or download them.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
It's just annoying to have to do it. I'd like to be able to download them just the once, and there you go, job done.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. The other thing that he mentioned there was about the Log Me In. Now, I didn't realise that Log Me In actually played the sound as well.
Yeah, it does if you have the paid version.
Ah.
It's really clever, actually. If you've got the paid version, you can also use cut and paste, right-clicking cut and paste, to transfer from one computer to the other.
Yeah.
And you can also print on your local machine from the remote machine as well. So if you had
That's clever.
if you had a document on the remote machine, you don't have to sort of mail it to yourself or transfer it some other way. You can just open it on there, hit the print button, and use your local printer to print it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Which is, I mean, it's a fantastic piece of software. It really is.
Yeah.
Taking what was left to take away, there's not much here but enough. Taking all the rest and left the matter of our loves overseas. And I know I was just a fool. Love lies broken, torn too. Finding what was mine to find this time a lonely nights multiply. Shaking off the thoughts I hope I lost and search for signs in the sky. And I know I'm just a fool. Love lies broken, torn. Wanted to show ya what I believed in, babe. Don't you know? Wanted to show ya how faithful I happen to be. Oh, sleeping way too late, I recreate your face in dreams every night. Working out a way to make you stay, I cling to rays of hope. And I know I was just a fool. Love lies broken, torn. Wanted to show ya what I believed in, babe. Don't you know? Wanted to show ya how faithful I happen to be.
I always enjoy listening to this show afterwards, not necessarily because of the conversations, because we pretty much know what we've said, but I don't really hear the music very well over the Skype connection. And that one I'm looking forward to listening to. It was called Love Lies, and it was by Lord of Sorry, the Lords of Five.
No, the law of fives.
Oh, the law.
Yeah, law.
I'm sorry, I thought you said Lords.
No.
I-
Do
I'll
you not
change
read the
that.
show notes?
Not today, I haven't, no.
Well, they're up there.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to listening to that one because that sounded pretty sort of funky,
Good.
bit rocky.
So, remember last week I did the whole
Vaguely.
spiel about why Twitter is dead.
Yes.
Well, I think I've found out why. Or not why Twitter is dead, but why they struggled to get a deal with the UK providers.
Go on.
Well, apparently Vodafone had just done a deal with Facebook to allow you to make posts using your mobile phone.
I don't know about just. I think it's a fairly recent. Fairly.
Hello? Hello, Darren?
I'm here.
Yep, you're back. Good. Say
I
that
never
again.
went anywhere.
You did, you broke up.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not sure about it being a new thing. I thought they'd been advertising this on railway stations for a few months.
Oh, really?
Yes.
New story I got was Vodafone's Facebook lovers will soon have a new way to send messages from their popular social networking site by text message using the Connect to Friends application. Vodafone is offering 25 free text credits for the new users, and then from then on it'll cost 10p per text and 30p per picture message, which is kind of what Twitter used to do without the picture messaging.
And that's sending from Facebook to the phone.
Yeah. Which is Twitter, isn't it?
It is.
I
think,
assume it'll work the other way eventually, if not from the start, that you'll be able to update your Facebook from your mobile phone.
yeah.
So I can understand why Vodafone were sort of a bit reticent to do a deal with Twitter if they've already got this thing going on with Facebook.
Well, the other thing that I've learned is that the way that we do texts and cell phones in general in the UK is very, very different to the way they do it in other countries, specifically in the States. They have this concept out there for the recipient pays for the message or the recipient pays for the call. Therefore, I should imagine it's a lot easier to set up contracts with people who are sending out messages that the recipient is then paying for.
So hang on. So in America, you have to pay to receive a text message.
There are lots of different contracts and options and things, but this was one thing that threw me off. When we first went out there, I bought a little pay-as-you-go phone with a $10 top-up card, and as I was receiving phone calls, not international ones, but just local phone calls from Barbara's mum and dad and people like that, I was getting charged for it. And text wasn't something that was supplied by default. SMS was something you would have to pay extra for.
You see,
And I believe, again, in that, you would then have to pay to receive the text messages.
See, this is the thing that gets me. I can understand them doing the you have to pay to receive a call. It's not the way we do it over here, but I can understand the way that works, because you have the option to reject the call.
Yeah.
You see who's ringing. I don't want to spend my money on talking to them. You can reject the call. You can't reject a text message. It just arrives on your phone. So if you're being charged for that and it's a text message that you didn't want, or it's spam, yeah, you're paying for the spam. Yep. Which I don't agree with.
It's just really difficult to understand all the different. Nobody's got it simple. I mean, our systems over here, I think, are simple, but it means that if companies like Twitter are sending huge amounts of messages out to users, then it relies on them negotiating deals with people like O2 and Orange and that to be able to buy millions of messages at a cheaper rate.
Well, it's either that or they need to monetize the site in some way.
And they're monetizing these sites via advertisements and things like that, because nobody would actually pay for that sort of thing as a service. So that's why it is just not going anywhere. And I seem to remember that a lot of these sites, there used to be quite a few sites where you could go onto them and inject your SMS message into like the SMS cloud, as it were, and it would come through. But slowly O2 and people like that cut these sites off. Interestingly, I keep saying interesting in this episode. It's an interesting episode.
That's the tagline for the show sorted out. The interesting show.
The underlying technology for SMS messaging is very similar to email and very basic. And sending messages around is actually costing the phone companies next to nothing.
Yeah.
But they don't want to give these options away, so they've tightened things up, and all of the different backdoors and different ways into this system have slowly been closed down, so now they have tight control over it, and they don't like the idea of some of these companies like Twitter and that giving away features and things for free, because potentially you could use Twitter as a method of text messaging that I'm not paying for, and that Twitter are actually paying a fraction of what I would have paid to send that message. So
I mean, that only works if you're sitting at a computer to use it, doesn't it? Or I suppose if you've got a phone with Wi-Fi access, you could do it that way, couldn't you?
Well, phone with Wi-Fi access, and also sending text messages to groups of people. I would pay for one message to be sent to Twitter, and then it would go out to a group of people instead of sending 5 or 10 messages.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And the greedy phone companies see that they're losing money out of that. If there's any free texts to give away, they want to be the ones that are doing it. They don't want websites and so forth to be giving away free texts as a bonus, even though they're only paying a tiny little fraction for them.
Yeah, it's just a shame though, because I really did like Twitter.
It may well come back, or we may end up getting broadband on the mobiles at a sensible price.
Yeah, can't see that happening yet. Nothing's happening at a sensible price. Right, you got anything else to talk about? Because I've pretty much run out.
How long we've been going for?
45 minutes.
45 minutes is long enough, I think.
I think so. Do you want to do the contact information?
Yeah, okay. If you want to send us an email, you can send an email to ddl.podshow@googlemail.com.
You struggled there, didn't you?
I did. I've been using that address all week because I've been checking it for the first time ever, but I totally forgot. You can do the next bit.
All right. You can send us. No, you can't. You can call us on the telephone number, which is 07092 274 759.
The website address is www.dumbeddownlife.com, where you will find the show notes for this show, and also you'll find the chat room so that you can listen to us when we record live.
And we do still use it, I think. Our Twitter username is Dumbed Down Life. Now, every week we do say that we need to get this recorded, because we make a right hash of that every single week we read it out.
Well, it makes it more human. You wouldn't want the whole thing to be recorded messages from end to end, would you?
Well, no, but we're not very good at it, are we?
This is Dumbed Down Life 39. Programmed it in. Don't even need to record it anymore.
We'll have to work on that one, then we can spend more time in the chat room.
Right, well, until next time then, sir.
Yes, we shall see you next week.
Ta-ra.